It looks like Alpine is going to have some tough times ahead. The cool thing is that they now have two French drivers on their team, which makes the team really proud. But here's the problem. Gasly and Ocon don't really like each other as friends. This could cause big trouble when they start racing against each other for real. If you look at how good they both are as drivers, they're almost exactly the same. Gasly has been driving cars that weren't very good his whole career, except for 30 races when he got to drive for Red Bull in 2019, so Alpine will probably have to do some special things to make sure Gasly and Ocon get along, okay, if you want. To know what those special things are, keep watching until the end of this video. Even before Gasly joined Alpine, everyone knew that some things would have to change between him and Ocon. Alpine really doesn't want another mess like what happened with Piastri. They also don't want the same problems that McLaren had when Alonso and Hamilton both drove for them, starting in 2007. So the French team has done some things to prevent problems because these two French drivers had fights when they were kids racing go-karts. A reporter named Joe Saward says Alpine took a big risk by putting Gasly and Ocon on the same team. Alpine's big dream of having two French drivers has finally come true. But keeping them working together noisily will be much harder than just getting them on the team in the first place. The F1 reporter Joe Saward says, Alpine has made some interesting rules for race days that involve Ocon and Gasly's families. The families of these two drivers don't get along very well either. On race days, when everyone gets really excited and emotional, Alpine doesn't want the families fighting in the garage. So Alpine told the drivers that new rules will be added. To control the situation, Joe Saward reported that Alpine wants to keep fights to a minimum. Both drivers have been told that they can only bring their families to 2 races each year, and the 2 families cannot come to the same races. Alpine is fighting for 4th place in the championship right now. With Gasly taking Alonso's spot, it's clear the team wants to not just be the best of the leftover teams, but sometimes challenge the really top teams at some races. So they're going to do whatever it takes to keep everything peaceful. The team from Normandy wants to bring lots of success to racing, but are Gasly and Ocon still fighting, or have they decided to make up so they can score good points for the team? Gasly has talked about his relationship with Ocon, how they met, and how it got worse over time. Their families were actually very close at first. They met when Ocon's dad bought a go-kart for Esteban from one of Gasly's brothers. Since Gasly spent lots of time go-kart racing, he and Ocon spent hours together every week going to drive at the same track, from when I was 6 years old. He used to come to my house many times, and I went to his house too. I even remember times in winter when nobody else came to our racetrack. We were the only ones there. It was snowing really hard, and we would go for 3 or 4 laps, then come back when our hands got completely frozen. We'd go to the back of the truck with the heater, just to get warm for 15 minutes. Then we go back on track for 5 more laps with the smooth tires on. Just driving in the snow. Unfortunately, the friendship got much worse at some point in go-karting when we started fighting for the World Cup, European Championship, and also National Championship. I really remember one weekend at the World Cup in 2010 in Portugal. He literally cut across the track at one corner, went into the grass, and hit me in the last heat before the pre-final. This was because I was going to start 2nd or 3rd, and I think he didn't really like that, said Gasly. Even though they're not best friends on or off the racing track now, it's very clear that they'll have to make up in order to become the best versions of themselves and work for team spirit. Ocon also talked about Gasly taking Alonso's spot. He said he's very proud that his childhood friend will be his teammate and that they finally have 2 French drivers for a French team. I mean, we started go-karting together, and that's pretty crazy. I have a lot of fantastic memories with Pierre. When we were kids, we lost touch with each other a little bit. He was doing different championships. He went to Japan. I was staying in Europe, different teams, different times. But I think it would be great to work together. It's not only me now from Normandy. We are all 3 from Normandy, me, Pierre, and the brand. So if we can bring that team to the top and make Normandy win, that would be something special. Think there are some great things that we can create there. The minimum is for us to do a perfect job for the team and work well together. But I'm sure everything will be good. You always want to beat your teammate when you're in F1. It's the same competition that you have with any teammate because there's no French championship. There's no French or Spanish championship, so it's all good. Well, now both French drivers are looking forward to working with each other. It's going to be interesting to see where fate takes them. Ocon will probably do better than Gasly in the first couple of races until Gasly understands how the car works and the ideas behind it. But Ocon says he doesn't believe that having experience at Alpine will decide whether he'll be better than Gasly or not. On top of that, Ocon talked about the agreement he and Gasly made after Alpine signed the Frenchman from AlphaTauri. We did have a chance to talk. We had a photo shoot together, we had a couple of interviews, we spent a little bit of time chatting. Yeah, it will be fun. Ocon continued to talk about who the number one driver on the team is, adding, "It's not something that I really focus on too much. The important thing for me is to keep doing the job I'm doing, the development, the new floor that we brought in. Singapore, I'm also the leader of what's coming. Fernando also gives his thoughts, I give my thoughts, and it's the work together that we bring that makes the important thing, for sure. I will have the most experience and I know how the car works. But it's important for the team to get Pierre up to speed very quickly. The good thing for Alpine is that they'll probably avoid a big problem here because it seems like both drivers have grown up enough to compete for a top team in F1. Gasly has waited for this chance ever since 2019, when he didn't quite manage to fit in well with Red Bull after jumping in to replace Ricciardo. He was replaced in the middle of the season by Albon and was sent back to AlphaTauri, where he managed to produce really good results and got his first win in Monza in 2020. Gasly talked about his and Ocon's past and how it brought out the best in him and his fellow Frenchmen, adding, "I think in the end it was a good thing that these things happened to us, because it really pushed us so much harder to beat each other. And in the end, it's quite funny to see us both now in Formula One. Looking at where we started with our track, not much money, going to take the tires at the back of the garage from all the guys. Just to see the way we grew up and where we are now, it's just fantastic. So I think we really respect each other as drivers, but unfortunately there is not the feeling that we had in the past, which was more friendly," concluded Gasly in an interview back in 2018. Alpine's boss said that Ocon was really supportive of signing Gasly and said that he's excited to see how the all-French lineup will work from 2023 onwards. With that being said, it's up to us to wait and see whether Gasly and Ocon will have fierce battles on the field, and what will happen when one of them has to give way for the better of the other driver. What do you think about the all-French lineup in Alpine? Let us know in the comments below. Want to know more about F1? Click on the video on your screen.